Hello and welcome to this first episode of Tropical Insights. I am your host, Germán Vargas. I am very pleased to have you here today with us. We are recording from the University of Florida Tropical Research and Education Center in Homestead. So we are so pleased today to have this topic on invasive pests and ornamentals. And I am very happy to have with us today this special guest. Dr. Alexandra Revynthi is the principal investigator of the Ornamental Entomology and Acarology lab here at Homestead. So, Dr. Revynthi, thank you very much for being with us today. I am very pleased that you have been sparing this time to be with us today. And welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation, Germán. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is great. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you ended up here in this beautiful region of Southern Florida.
Well, it has been a very interesting trip. Originally, I come from Greece. This is where I finished my undergraduate studies in agriculture, and this is where I started falling in love with the field of acarology, the study of mites. Then I moved to the Netherlands to do a PhD on predatory mites and their behavior. But coming to the US was always a dream for me because I wanted to be in a place where innovation takes place. So I always wanted to live and experience in the United States, and Florida offered me this opportunity, and I have to tell you that I really enjoy Florida a lot, especially the weather. It's lovely, so I'm having a great time so far.
Excellent. And before we get started with the topic, I just wanted to run some numbers. Maybe the audience already know this, but this is real interesting numbers. Florida is the number one producer in the U.S. of indoor plants. Is also representing 70%. It's a lot, 70% of all the sales on indoor plants in the whole U.S. It is also, according to data from the Florida Nursery Growers and Landscape Association, it's also representing big numbers. Every year, businesses around ornamental crops here in Florida represents around 30 billion in total output sales. It also represents more than 266,000 employments, generally speaking. In Miami-Dade and also Palm Beach, you have the main area producing ornamentals, but specifically in Miami-Dade, we have more or around a little bit more than 1,500 nurseries producing different kinds of plants. So these numbers are really striking, but I wanted to discuss with you, Dr. Revynthi, more about because when we are talking about agriculture, we always focus on food, and food security. I mean, everybody is thinking, well, this is very important. But when we are talking about ornamentals and all these big numbers, which is a big industry, very important, what is the importance of growing ornamentals, in your opinion?
Well, the numbers that you outlined show the importance in figures, right? In market value, and the last census of agriculture really highlighted the importance of the ornamental industry financially. But if you think about ornamental plants, these plants are being produced and cultivated for their aesthetics, right? Because they are beautiful. And although when somebody thinks agriculture, thinks of food, it is really important to think how rooted are actually ornamentals in our life. Every time that we have a special occasion, the first thing that we do, we go and buy a pot of a beautiful plant, or cut flowers or roses. During Mother's Day, Father's Day, we always offer flowers to our loved ones, right? Ornamental plants they are not only just plants, they are a way of expressing feelings, and this is why they are so important, I think, apart from the financial aspect that they hold as an industry. These are plants that they are part of our culture, but they have a very strong social aspect that extends beyond a simple agricultural product, I would say.
And also that they are pretty, and we are like always looking towards pretty landscapes, pretty things that are giving us some like a spiritual pleasure too, like giving us this relaxation, like this is also a spiritual connection with plants, as you mentioned, like connecting with dear ones through flowers, through plants that we care, that we protect, and that we want to be safe from, let's say, pests. And talking about that, pests, what, in your experience, what are the main challenges or problems associated with ornamentals and pests here in Florida?
So as you said, these plants are also, we can also find them surrounding our environments, right? All the gardens have ornamental plants, community gardens and different settings. That is not, we cannot find them only in a nursery production, right? The ornamental plants are everywhere, but because they are everywhere, we can find them under different climatic conditions, environmental conditions that can be very favorable. And those conditions in Florida are really optimum for the development of pests in general, any type of pests. The biggest challenge that Florida is facing, the Florida agriculture in general, but the ornamental industry a little bit more, is the threat of invasive pests. And I emphasize that the ornamental industry is facing these challenges even more than the rest of the agriculture because of the low thresholds that they have to damage, tolerance to damaged plants. So these plants, the ornamental plants, are being cultivated for their beauty. So when they are sold or when they are planted in gardens, they have to be pristine, they have to be perfect. Any pest of any kind that damages this beauty causes problems, either in a nursery production, commercial production, or in the landscape. Unfortunately, invasive species, which are species that we don't currently have naturally occurring in the state of Florida, so they are exotic, they enter into the state, and they pose a big threat to agriculture in general, but also to the ornamental industry.
Well, if we consider Florida is located in a geographical situation in which we are exposed to all those invasives, like it's not just insects, it's also the Burmese pythons and different things that are coming to us. So it is possible to think that we wouldn't be able to stop them from coming, but when they are established, I guess that we need to manage them, like we need to learn how to control them or regulate them. How you see that we can regulate an invasive, how we can control an invasive? There's like this important pest that is lately creating so much trouble, the Tris parvespinus problem. There is also a problem for the audience, is also a problem for ornamental, but it's also a problem for vegetables and other crops. So tell us a little bit more about these trips and why it's important.
Yeah, in Florida in general is a hub, is the perfect hub within the Caribbean region, and because of this very important geographic position that it has, it is also prone to more invasive species, especially with the trade that is happening and the excellent environmental condition that it offers as a place. Unfortunately, we have invasions occurring, and then these pests establish in the state, causing a lot of problems to agriculture in general. We are very lucky that the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, the Division of Plant Industry, is very well prepared to respond to these invasions, and we often collaborate with them to see how we can team up and respond to an invasion the FTAX-TPI from a regulatory point of view, and UFIFAS from a research management point of view. So we had a couple of invasive species threatening the ornamental industry the past years. One is the hibiscus buttweevil, and the most recent one is the Thrips parvispinus in Latin, or Thrips parvispinus as they call it in English. So this last invasion from these thrips has been particularly problematic because it's a small insect that it can go undetected easily due to this size, but it's highly polyphagous, so it can feed on multiple different plant species, and it can affect the ornamental plants as well as vegetable crops like peppers. So that pest has really caused a lot of damage. It has, upon its invasion, it destroyed crops that had been ready to be sold, and since it was the first continental record, it had to be regulated in order to stop its spread. Therefore, with implementing regulations and restrictions about shipping ornamental plants that they are positive, so that they have this pest, this already creates a financial challenge for the producer, because the producer already made the investment long time ago to grow the crop, and by the time that is ready to be shipped, then a new invasive pest appeared, and then of course the producer was not able to sell this plant. So this affected a lot the industry. As a new invasive pest, unfortunately we realized very soon that the international literature and the research that had been conducted at that time was also very limited. So we were faced with a situation where we had a very aggressive pest, very difficult to detect. It could damage the plants in a short period of time. It had to be regulated to prevent from other states to have it, and we didn't have baseline information from the other researchers around the world. So that was a
So it was like you guys were the first ones to tackle that pest.
Well, the first ones, in a sense, there was some research conducted. We were very thankful for that, from Indonesia, with some biology information and some reports from other countries where these thrips had invaded. But yes, we were faced in a situation where we had to start
here in continental US, I was meaning. When you see this problem in perspective, when they say that you can foresee the future, how you think, because now I imagine that we are spraying pesticides, and that is very common when you need to preserve these untouched, beautiful plants, and you need to spray pesticides. I guess that is one way to deal with it. But I imagine that having extra options, in addition, I don't know, biological control, cultural practices, how you foresee the future management of this thrips problem in the industry?
Well, we already see a big difference in response comparing 2023 with 2024 up until now. We have growers reporting less problems, smaller thrips populations, and everything comes down to, first of all, scouting. They are really well aware how to scout and what to look for. We were able to provide them with very good quality information as to which commercial chemical control product should be considered in order to decrease the pest populations, or even in cases try to really eliminate them. And right now we are entering in a phase that we need and we must start thinking of an integrated pest management program for Thrips parvispinus. Otherwise the management will not be sustainable. Spraying only with chemicals will create problems with resistance of resistant populations of thrips, and is also not environmentally friendly, and it has also some aspects that can affect the health of the pesticide applicators. So right now the management heads towards identifying alternative tools that can supplement the current tools, so biological control using predatory mites and insects, but also entomopathogenic nematodes and fungi, and in addition to better monitoring tools like traps, different colored of traps, and to be really prepared to implement excellent sanitation practices under nursery conditions.
Dr. Revynthi, it's been a great pleasure to have you here today. I am very pleased with you, and of course this is only the first episode of Tropical Insights. We are so pleased that we are getting started with this idea, and hopefully we will have a very soon second episode for you. And take care. Bye bye. Thank you very much.